Welcome to Backboard Banter on the board with your hosts, Matt Middleton and Kevin Rayner, where the banter's as ferocious as Deion Sanders on the mic, man. That guy, just proved everybody wrong. What an absolute legend.
I mean, it just goes to show that, name power means a lot these days, especially to the young kids. And Dion, he's backing it up. Team's doing well, so you can't really complain about it at this point.
Dude, it's nuts. 53 transfers, and they go out there and they beat. I mean, granted, they're the 17th ranked team this year, but they were, in the national championship game last year. And I know it's a close one, but Colorado's a program that literally
Yeah.
won one game last season. And, they could be, dare I say, a playoff team this year, which might be a little bit of an overreaction, but hey, man, it could be possible with Dion.
This is the situation, right? Anything's possible. Dion is gonna keep those young kids moving, and he's gonna hold them all to a high standard. So we'll all be watching Dion and what the rest of this team can do. But Matt, it's football season. That's the time right now. We're in September.
Oh.
It's what everyone's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just last thing on the Colorado Buffaloes, they've got like two absolute superstars in Deion's son Shador Sanders, broke a school record in his first game coming out of the HBCU college, the Division II school
Yeah.
at Jackson State. The man was amazing. And then Travis Hunter, the kid plays like 140 plus snaps both ways. Just what a monster. Yeah, apparently guys on the other team are complaining because of the weather. It was so hot. And they're like, you guys are playing one way. There's a guy on the other team playing both ways. Like, you guys can't stay out there? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's
So,
that's that's a
just,
little bit of a baby moment right there, maybe.
yeah. Man, I'd be pretty tired too playing, Division I football. So, this kid's just a machine. He's just built different? So,
Absolutely. You
it
got
is what
you,
it is.
you gotta love it. Okay, Matt. We'll come back to takes in a bit because we failed horribly, however many weeks ago. But let's talk about football right now. Everyone's getting excited. We got the Chiefs and the Lions in what 20 minutes from now starting up. Like NFL season, the start of major sports really, because baseball's happening, but
Buddy.
that's baseball.
Buddy, we're back. Sports are back. Football season's here. I'm just gonna, give you guys my little predictions here for those divisions. Gonna start with the AFC East here. I think Buffalo's got it again. Everybody's talking about major regression. I still think Josh Allen's gonna be one of the better,
Yeah,
top five quarterbacks in the NFL. When you have a top five quarterback, when you have a top 10 wide receiver, you're going to figure it out. And that defense has been legit, and I don't expect it to really fold under Sean McDermott. So, number one seed, I will take the New York Jets. Not because I love the New York Jets, but because I don't necessarily believe in Tua's ability to stay healthy for a full season. And Skylar
true.
Thompson, he's just a major downgrade, even though they've got the weapons. It's kind of why I stayed away from Dolphins players in my fantasy draft because it's tough to predict if your quarterback's not going to be there. And they'll take Miami and New England. New England, they'll probably finish like 8 and 9, something like that. And it's a tough division though this year, man. But not as tough as this next one, the AFC North. Um, all four teams I could see in the playoffs and
Right.
even maybe potentially winning around. And I got to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson's gonna absolutely have a monster season. Brought him back to the fantasy team, so the Marvelous Avengers are
There
back. We're ready
yo.
to strike again.
There we go.
And so I got to believe in my boy Lamar. I think he might even be the MVP over Patrick Mahomes this year, which I think would
That'd be
be
cool.
wild, but I think he could
Yeah.
do it. Yeah. But Joe Burrow,
Easy.
Cincinnati, easy money. The guy's been automatic since entering the league. Besides that first year.
Is Bengals Chiefs still the best rivalry in football?
Yeah, I think right now, in terms of if you want two top tier teams to be going at it,
Yeah.
yeah, Kansas City and the Cincinnati Bengals are, I think, the best. I think that Lamar, if he had been able to stay healthy for the last few seasons, I think Baltimore Kansas City would be also a really great rivalry.
Of course.
You got two young MVP quarterbacks too. The crazy thing about Lamar is that he's still I think only 25. So some of the guys coming out of the NFL draft are his age. It's wild.
It's kind of appropriate that the NFL has a lot of young QB talent right now with Brady, actually leaving the league. It feels almost right for these all this young guard of QB talent to kind of step up and see who's going to take over. I mean, we know it's Mahomes' league, but everyone else can be chasing him now. It's not just Mahomes and everybody else chasing Brady.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We all know it's Mahomes' league, and I think Lamar and Joe are right there. So they're in my top two. I gotta put my Steelers because I really believe in that defense. T.J. Watt's just an absolute monster, and I think Kenny Pickett's gonna have a better season as a second-year player. Plus, George Pickens looks like he can catch anything.
Yeah.
So I think like with that kind of confidence now, you guys have played a year together. You're just going to throw him the ball. I think, you're going to see a lot more jump balls going George Pickens' way, and he's going to come down with a lot of them, I think, this season. So I have them there. And honestly, Cleveland, I could see them winning this division if Deshaun, goes back to Deshaun form. And I'm not
Right.
saying that he will, and like, not that he's a great person, but like, yeah, like he could easily, win this division if he played like he did in Houston, not just 3 seasons ago.
The classic
So
separate the art from the artist situation. Like, yeah, we know what's going on, but like if he shows up and plays to that level, right, the sky's the limit there. So
absolutely, man. And then you got probably like the weakest division in the AFC. Jacksonville, the Prince, he's easily going to take that division, I think. Then I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. I really believe in
okay.
Mike Vrabel. I believe in the way that he coaches that team, that defense. I'm a little nervous about their quarterback situation, but they've got two highly ish touted prospects and Malik Willis and Will Levis behind Ryan Tannehill. So like maybe, there's something there. Then I gotta take Houston Texans and CJ Stroud because I don't necessarily believe in Anthony Richardson. I know that they named him the quarterback early. I know that he is all the physical tools in the world. But if he couldn't dominate the SEC, like I don't see him dominating the NFL.
Yeah.
Um, like I just like it's a much harder league. And like I don't even know if we have to talk about the AFC West. Like obviously Kansas City, then Los Angeles. Then I'll take Denver slightly over Oakland. Like
Okay.
slight I don't like Denver and Oakland, I don't think are gonna have good seasons. Everyone's like all hyped up for Sean Payton. He's the coach and coaching matters, but like I think they're losing weapons. I don't think their O line's very good. Their defense is a little overrated to me. Like
In
I just
a
don't think it's gonna be
in,
good.
in a sport with what 52 players on the team, yeah, let's get excited about the coach. Good idea. Yeah.
Hey
Yeah.
man, it's a coaching quarterback league.
True.
Every
Yeah.
and Sean Payton's one of the best to ever do it, but I just man, like what's he gonna fix in one off season that, is gonna drastically change who they are?
Valid. I'll give you
I
that.
don't
Valid. Yeah. 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 No, I see it. I see it. I feel you.
And then in the NFC East, so we're going out to the NFC. I think, I'm gonna take Dallas. I think that they're gonna have a little bit of a softer schedule than Philadelphia. Those two teams were very, very close last season. I think a lot of teams are gonna be ready for that Jalen Hurts 1 yard push, and really load up on it this year. So I don't know how effective it's gonna be. I think, maybe it takes a little bit of a step back, but the Eagles still gonna get second in that division, definitely make the playoffs. The Giants and the Commanders, like Commanders have Sam Howell. The Giants got Saquon Barkley, but like Daniel
Yeah.
Jones, man, you don't pay that man like I think they paid him $45 million a year. Like
Oof.
he is like maybe the 15th best quarterback in the NFL, and he's making top five money. So like that's
Yikes.
never a winning formula, my friend. Never
No.
ever.
No. No. No.
I think my Minnesota Vikings in the North, they stay the champions.
There we go.
I believe that Kirk Cousins is gonna, just connect with Justin Jefferson. I really like Addison, the guy that they added in the draft as a wide receiver to replace Adam Thielen. And if that defense just like improves slightly, like they're a good, like a really, really solid team. Because that defense was the worst defense in the NFL last year.
Not
It
good.
was the worst. That's
Not good.
why Daniel Jones actually won a playoff game. So
Well, you heard it here first. There you go.
yeah. Detroit Lions. I think they're gonna have a good season. Jared Goff gets protection. They could make the playoffs. And then I'll take the Bears and the Packers. that's a coin flip for me. I like the Packers better as an organization, but I like Justin Fields better as a quarterback.
True.
So I'll take Justin Fields over Jordan Love. But that's a wild division. The NFC South is probably the worst division in football. So
Got to give it to
I'll
somebody
take
though.
take Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. I'm gonna take Atlanta. Second Bijan Robinson, Calvin Ridley. No, not Calvin Ridley. DJ Ritter. Sorry, my bad. The new quarterback. And then I'll take Carolina and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker. Sorry, buddy. You're good. It's just like you're not going to turn around that team. They were bad with Tom Brady. So
Yeah, yeah, that ain't that the truth. So
yeah. And then like probably the weirdest division because you got like two awful teams and two good like could be great teams. I'll take San Fran and Seattle. I might take Seattle to actually win that division. And then I'll take San Fran and the Rams and then the Cardinals. They're going for last place. So
hey
at this
yo,
point it is what it is. Yeah, you
draft
want that Williams.
draft picks, baby. Well, there's your divisions. I guess that means that we've got what, just the Super Bowl left to predict, man.
Yeah. I think that my Super Bowl is gonna be Kansas City, obviously out of the AFC. Like I know everybody's like, oh, pick the safest pick. It's like, well, yeah, you're picking the team that's dominated the NFL for the last 5 years. He's literally never gone to the AFC Championship game when he's the starter.
Wild.
I'm gonna take him.
Yeah,
I'm just like sorry. Like if you can guarantee yourself Final Four, like bar none, you got to take your shot.
yeah.
And then I'll actually take Minnesota. I think
Okay,
Minnesota is going to have a breakthrough year. I think this is the year Kirk Cousins, pushes through. I
that'll be
think
fun.
that QB series on Netflix, garnered him a ton of fans. And I'm somebody who believes in, the sports gods and the karma out in the world of who's rooting for you and what type
Totally,
of fans are rooting for you. So I think that Kirk gets to the Super Bowl this year, and it's a Minnesota KC, and KC goes back to back. Sorry
man.
Minnesota, you lose again in the Super Bowl.
And it would be wild too, right? Brady's gone. We get the first back to back since Brady did it in 2003. It's Mahomes' league now. It'd be pretty poetic for it to end that way. Just saying.
No, absolutely, man. It would be absolutely the most poetic thing. And considering like really Tom Brady's the only one who's really stopped Patrick Mahomes. I know Joe Burrow beat him that one time, but to really
Yeah.
been Tom Brady who stopped him, like
Yeah.
it'd be very, very fitting for it to end this way. So
It's
yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the NFL season. You guys don't even have to watch. Just tune in in
yeah, there
what,
you
like
go.
19 weeks, 21 weeks,
Matt's got
and
it
I'll
all laid out. Playoffs
yeah.
are ready for you. We know what we're gonna see. You heard it here first. But I mean, hey, you could just wait until you could watch the last play where KC wins and Mahomes is a champion again. Like that's where we're sitting right now. But I guess this means, Matt, that we have to flip over to basketball. And, part of the reason why it's been a few weeks since we've done a podcast is probably because of how much the Raptors
Embarrassing.
disappointed and how we embarrassed ourselves with our takes the last time. Because not only did Grady not make 7 threes in any game, he didn't even average trying 7 threes, throughout the entire tournament for all the games. And the Raptors, did they win a game? I don't even. I don't.
I think they won one.
The
I
last
think they
game,
won one.
maybe the last game.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. So it was.
It
It
was
was a
not
tough,
good.
tough summer
Not
league
good.
for us over here. But you know what? It's summer league. We expected Malachi Flynn to be a summer league MVP. We were joking about how he was killing Lamelo just a few years ago. Summer league doesn't tell you everything. Wasn't Trey Young pretty bad or pretty amazing in summer league? One or the other. Like it's a time where anything is going on, and there's a lot of guys who are trying to figure out: are they going to play in the NBA? Are they going to make a team? Are they going overseas? And the Raptors squad that we pulled together just didn't have that chemistry. It wasn't a bunch of guys coming together. It really was them trying to get their next futures.
No, exactly, right? Like it's a chance to show all 30 teams what you can do in the league. And so guys take their opportunities. They might, be a little bit more aggressive, they might be a little bit more selfish. They're more trying to show that they can make the play, that they can be a scorer, they can be that difference maker as opposed to like the facilitator. But
Exactly.
yeah, so I think that like, that kind of tore us a little bit apart. But it's going to be nice to watch Marquise Noel in the G League this year. Hopefully Grady can get some solid minutes off the bench and maybe average like 2 threes a game because those 2 threes that'd be that'd be money for our team at this point. Like in 13 minutes or 15
Yeah.
minutes a game, I'd take that all day.
And the biggest thing that I really saw from Grady in summer league was yeah, everyone was kind of clowning him on his shot, but Grady knows he doesn't need to work on his shot. He's proven himself as a shooter in his college career, and I saw him out there trying to do everything, trying to be a part of everything. He averaged a steal and a half in per game for 4 games. Honestly, that stat alone makes me pretty excited. Just the amount of involvement that he had in the game. He
On
wasn't out
defense,
there,
yeah,
yeah, right. He wasn't out there needing to
coasting.
prove too much, or just to coast. But he was able to work on other parts of his game, and that's what I like to see out of a rookie who's coming in and not needing to, I'll go off in summer league and try to put up 40 points. And he had 21 points or so in his final game, so great job there. But he was doing everything on the court, trying to be involved with everything. And with Darko in this new system that we're looking to implement, maybe that was able to show that, hey, I'm willing to be a part of this and I can find my minutes to get those couple of threes a game that we know he's capable of knocking down.
No, man, absolutely. I think that seeing him attack the rim, try
Yeah,
some middies, get in his bag was like a really good sign. Because like you said, he's not trying to refine his shot in summer league here. He's refined it through years and years and years of
yeah,
games. That should just come kind of naturally to him in the NBA. Whereas it is all that kind of stuff that it's nice to get up against, I know college competition's close to the NBA, but the G League and the Summer League is that much closer. And so to be able to, attack the rim and beat guys off the bounce, like that's a huge, huge added bonus for where we could see him going as a
yeah.
player. And knockdown shooter or not, like we need him to be that, like 100%. But it's nice to see the other stuff come with it because we don't want to spend the 12th or 13th overall pick on just like a JJ Redick. Like as good as JJ Redick was for his career, and
True.
the man is like a Hall of Fame shooter, but he wasn't Hall of Fame anything else.
We're
And
trying
so
to we're trying to rebuild to be competitive again in the future. So we want all of our picks to be as best as they can possibly be. And I would love a JJ Redick on our team, but I'd like a
mm,
Seth Curry maybe more. You know, just because of the percentages wise. Let's go with that. But anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting off the point. This future season that we're about to witness for the Raptors here, there's so many question marks, right? We've thought the last couple of years that we were coming into every season with question marks, but in reality,
bruh.
we just had a couple of large questions we needed to ask. This year, where isn't there a question, right? Can Scotty step up? Is Siakam staying? What can Gary do? What can Grady do? How do we survive without Fred? What is Darko gonna like? There are so many
Is
questions with
OG
this
going to take
roster.
over a bigger role?
Like,
You know,
there's so
finally,
many
is
ways.
Christian going to be able to stay on the floor? The only real constant that we know is Jakob Pertl. He's gonna give you your
Yep.
15 and 10 a game. Like that is probably what he's going to average for the season, and that is totally fine. He's going to give you serviceable defense and serviceable offense, and be a top 15 center in this league, which is kind of what we need. It's a little bit of stability, but man, it is up in the air. I'm hoping Darko kind of gels the group. That's the ultimate dream, is that this new style that Darko wants to implement, the sharing,
Yep.
the camaraderie, if you're open and you miss the shot, that's not a bad shot. We're gonna still, pat you on the back and say good job for taking that shot. I like that mentality. And I think that was a little lost in the previous regime. I
Yeah.
think guys, when they miss shots, were being penalized for missing open shots. And, not to just blame solely on Nurse, I think it was team culture. But, Nurse was having a little bit of a shorter leash.
Yeah.
Being a championship coach, he wants to, consistently be a winner, a winner, a winner.
Exactly.
And he drove those guys into the ground. So, hopefully the end of the bench gets more minutes, they get more confidence, they develop, and it's just kind of a snowball effect. But yeah, it all hinges on Darko, baby.
He's he's kind of about to bring in the system that Matt and I have kind of always wanted to happen for the Raptors. You made an earlier comment about like the best team in the NFL. How can you not take them? And I was like, yeah, it's why we always knew that Golden State was going to make it into the championship year after year. But that ball movement system that they have to be fluidity, right? you see how players like Jordan Poole have been able to come in and be as successful as they have with certain skill sets, right? The hope is that
Mhm.
Darko can create this movement based system where everyone can be a part of it. And
Yeah.
Matt, you have bad days. I have bad days. We also have good days. We have great days. Everyone has a bad day every once in a while. The beauty of a system that's about rotation and next man up and everybody working is, guess what, Gary? You're not having a great day. It's cool. On Friday, you're going to put 40 points up. You know what I mean? Like, this is the beauty of what, if it all comes together, can create for this roster of a bunch of guys who most of them are, a year or two away from figuring out their next situation, whether that's their next contract with the Raptors or moving forward to their next teams. And so, I don't know. I'm a person who thinks common sense is really valuable, and I like to think about common sense a lot. I think a lot of these players are going to go into the season and have that realization of, you know what? The slate is clean, right? Darko is going to let everybody have an opportunity to show what they got and be a part of this system. And if certain guys are willing to step up and show what they got, we could see whole different things. I want to see post All-Star break Precious that we had from a season and a half ago, right? Like, I want to
Yeah.
see these moments that we're able to see. Chris Boucher has 2 years left on his contract. He's going to be on the other side of 30. Do we still need a Chris Boucher player if this system is working out? Like, there's, again, so many questions to be asked of this roster.
No, man. I was honestly thinking of Precious. Like, I feel like Precious, got bogged down at the beginning of last season, then got hurt, and then was just buried.
Yeah.
And then when you're buried, your confidence isn't there. When you're, told to go out there and do specific things and, you miss an assignment or you miss a shot, like it just starts to weigh on you. And then when your minutes go from 20 minutes down to 10 minutes,
Yep.
you don't feel like you have confidence and you're not shooting, you're not playing within rhythm. The first shot you take isn't just a natural shot. It's like a man, I better hit this shot. And that's a tough way to think in any sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
They talk about it in hockey. You gripping the stick too tight because you haven't scored in too many games, and pucks that would normally just you tap in, you jumping over your stick. So it's that kind of an idea, and I think that you're right. I think clean slate, everybody restarts. We have an idea of the pecking order that we want to have. But now with Freddie, man, like I think that it's just a lot more of ball movement
Yeah.
around Pascal and around, Scotty. And I think OG is going to get more involved. And I think that's a good thing. Again, like if we throw out a lineup of Scotty, Gary, Precious, um,
Siakam.
Siakam, and Podol,
Yak. Yeah, yeah. I
like
mean,
that's a huge lineup, one, and they're all guys who can, move the ball pretty well. So, like, I'm in for it.
and when you have players like Grady who can come in and be a knockdown shooter, like Gary who can be a knockdown shooter, is Malachi going to show up and be a part of this team? We've seen Dennis Schroeder
I've given up
absolutely.
on him.
I know we've given up on Malachi, but what about Dennis Schroeder, right? He's been going off in FIBA. He's been having some absolutely banger moments. Now,
It's
the
FIBA.
it's FIBA, and also the interview comments of, yeah, coming in to be the starting point guard of the Raptors. I'm sitting here going, well, maybe, but also like, Schroeder, you need to realize that you are the veteran for this team, and you are the backup plan. Oh wow, we're really bad with Siakam and Scotty being our only point options. We need somebody who is a true
Ball
point
handlers.
guard and a true ball handler. And Dennis Schroeder has done that for how many different teams? How many different rosters has he been able to become a part of? Like, honestly, not the time has passed, and
Throws
I'm
a
not as
safety
upset.
net.
This is the thing. I'm not as
He's a
upset
safety
about the
net.
pickup anymore because it happened really quickly. And at the end of the day, he's gonna play well for our roster. He will do well if we need him to play. It's just a fact.
Yeah, I don't love that he's not a shooter.
Yeah.
Like out of him and Gabe Vincent, like even though I think Gabe Vincent's probably a worse ball handler or worse facilitator, he's
Yeah.
a better shooter, and like that's kind of what we need. So I didn't love that they pivoted to Schroeder, but I feel like Schroeder was like the best of the available
What's
options at that
left?
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully, like Gary gets some, maybe a little bit, run at the point because he'll be the smallest guard on our team or
Yeah.
like the smallest player on the of our starting five from last year.
And speaking of
Yeah,
Gary, the last time we chatted about Gary, we were talking about how he opted in. The rumors were that he was gonna sign an extension. All was good. A couple months have passed. Some time has passed. No word on this extension. We've heard nothing. There's no rumors. What does this mean for you, Matt? Where do you take it in your mind?
Look, honestly, like if he wanted to leave the Raptors, he would opt it out. And so for me, the way that I think about it is he's trying to get a bag.
Yeah.
And so he wants to prove himself, make an all-star team, make a all defensive NBA team, maybe make the all NBA team because Gary believes in himself like that.
Yep.
And that's fine. Like, believe in yourself to the max. That's why he got himself to the NBA because he believes that he is that guy.
Yeah.
And so like bet on yourself. Maybe he took a page out of Freddie's book and thinks that the bag will come once I get that All Star game, once I get that all defensive team,
Hmm.
and they'll lock me up. And so he's just waiting for it. I think that at this point he's already kind of bet on himself, so
Yeah.
just go for it fully. Push all your chips into the ring and cash in. The guy's what 24, like he's
Yeah.
just about to hit his basketball prime. So yeah, I think it's the perfect time for him and. I'm not too worried. How are you worried?
I mean, I'm interested in the experiment of what it'll mean for his season because, his comments about Toronto compared to Portland, for example, of what we've heard in the past, is a very, reassuring sign because we know he likes being a part of here. We know he has felt valued and appreciated. But where does it come to when he has maybe, let's say he has a mediocre season, and then now we're looking at wanting to give him some money, and the organization is like, well, we're going to give you less than we probably would have offered you in this extension now, unless there's another team out there that goes, oh yeah, we're going to offer you the bag. Is Gary stuck and going, you know what? It's not the end of the world. It's a little bit less money than I was hoping, but I'm still with the organization that I like. For me, I'm not worried yet. It's when, like, for example, if Grady comes in and is suddenly destroying and is
Better than
so
him.
good, and then all of a sudden he's no longer a part of anything. What do we do with him then? Right? We could trade him. We
Trade him at the
could.
deadline.
That's the
Yeah,
hope at that
that's
point, right? And so that's why I don't think
yeah.
the front office has made that extension yet. And it's possible that the extension rumors was just the media outlets going, "Oh, he opted in. Obviously, they're going to extend him now." The classic story, right?
No, man, honestly, like that actually is a good point. But if you're looking at it from the Raptors' perspective, I mean, either he shows out and earns himself that big money deal that he's looking for, and we're fine to give it to him. I don't think the Raptors have showed any hesitancy to pay their top players when
Yeah.
they think that they're worth it. I mean, people are talking about the Siakam thing. He hasn't gotten his extension yet, his max money deal. But at the end of the day, like we don't know if we want to give it to him. We don't know, we've had, like we talked about at the end of last season, 3 seasons of him, truly, truly running that ship.
Yep.
And all 3 seasons have not ended the way that we wanted them to, or even close to the way that we wanted them to. I thought we had a really good team back in the bubble, and he did not show up in that Brooklyn series, and we
Yeah.
almost, lost to Brooklyn, which was like an absolute joke at the time. And then like he didn't show up in the Boston series, and that's why we got beat. And so like it's tough to talk about that one, but yeah, I think that like we pay our players when we know that they're worth it, and I think that we know, if Gary proves it, he's worth it. So we'll see. I really, really think that we'll get it though.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's definitely a lot, that we're gonna continue to break down with this season. There's rumors that apparently in the next couple of weeks the Raptors might make a move. At this point, I think that everything's dead in the water. We didn't like the DeAndre Hunter and AJ Griffin plus, 2029 and on picks from the Hawks. And at this point, I don't think a better offer is out there. And Siakam and especially OG is definitely worth more than that. And so I think that this is the roster that we're going into, and I'm excited to see what we can do with it because again, the only real difference is we've lost Fred, right? And we've gained Dennis, and that's really it. And we knew that there was potential in the team last year, and so if they can come together, we're looking for a fun season ahead of us.
Yeah, I think like last year at the beginning of the season, we really thought that we were going to be a 50-win team. Like that's the kind of talent level that we have. And it's not like we've subtracted all that much talent. Yeah, we don't have Freddie anymore. But like Freddie again, I think he's like a mid-tier point guard at best. Like, they talk about going to an all-star team and like that solidifies you as like, one of the better NBA players. It's like at one point or another, like almost half the guys in the league make an all NBA team. You know, if you're watching Winning Time right now, when Pat Riley lights up Norm Nixon because he's like, you made one all-star team and now you
Yep.
think that you're God's gift and you're not working hard. And so like losing a player like that, especially who plays as hard as Freddie does, especially one as small as Freddie is, and especially one who like you could see his decline happening fast because like even though he's a 3-point shooter like Steph, he plays a grittier game than Steph, and he's smaller than
Yep.
Steph. So to me, like I think I could see him regressing pretty quickly, and that 43 million dollar a year contract, like
So crazy.
bro, that's
Uh,
way too much money for a guy like Fred.
yeah,
I
well,
love Freddie, and I'm glad that he got his bag. I'm not trying to take
absolutely.
away from his pockets, but man, I would, if I was the GM, I would have balked so hard at that one.
It's definitely a wild thought, but that's it for me when it comes to the Raptors. We could talk about the Knicks suing the Raptors, but I think that that's a ridiculous situation. And when we learn if anything's actually going to
Bro,
come out of it, then we'll bring it up maybe.
bro, of course we stole the Knicks winning formula for championships. I mean, they have so many of them. Of course we had to have stolen it. Especially in the last 20 years. I'm pretty sure
Oof.
they've been to, like every NBA finals. So like no shit, no doubt we stole it.
Yeah, they've been amazing, honestly. But let's move to FIBA, Matt. Let's talk about Canada time because
Bruh.
the semifinals of the FIBA World Cup are tomorrow morning, and Canada, little old Canada, is in there right now with an absolutely dominant performance against Luka and Slovenia. It's been a great tournament, happening over in
Like
Japan.
Brazil.
Yeah, we'll get to Brazil. Before we get to Brazil, Matt, I gotta shout out my boy Utah. Okay, it's not a proper podcast without me talking about Utah Watanabe. All right, this this team Japan, okay, playing at home, finally beat a European team for the first time in their history. They were down 18 points and they came back to get a W. Now Utah was terrible in that game, but we're not going to talk about that. All right. I always hype up my boy Utah. I'm jacked for him, and I was hyped for the Japanese to get a win on home soil for them. But yeah, it's been a fun tournament, Matt. A lot of good play all around.
Yeah, some really good play. And like some guys playing on some teams that you don't expect them to be playing on, which is like kind of cool and fun. But I've loved, watching Canada. And I think like we got kind of spoiled the way that we just kind of, dominated France
True.
and then we dominated Latvia or one of the other countries
Yeah.
in between. We like beat them by like 40 points or something like that. That was like brutal. And then we get to like Brazil. We know that we're going through
Yeah.
where like we just dominated so hard. Like, and Bruno Caboclo was like, you know what, Raptors fans, eat your heart out and
Yeah.
watch me ball like an NBA player because you know what? It's 2 years away from being 2 years away, and it's today.
The team was cruising coming into this tournament, right? Undefeated in the knockoffs to get
The
into it.
tournament, yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. Like I think that loss to Brazil was very important. I honestly think that if Canada can do the impossible and come out and win this tournament, it doesn't happen without that loss against Brazil. The wake up call for these boys because
oh yeah,
you say that they were already through, like they had to beat Spain in that next game after Brazil to qualify for the Olympics. Like they still could have gone into a different round, I'm pretty sure, but to get that qualification to be 100% guaranteed with the US as
yeah,
the two to go through, they then had to beat Spain. And they came out and they proved it. That was a great game against the Spanish national team. And to follow that up going into the quarterfinals to play against a tough Luka Doncic squad. And like it was 50-50 going into the halftime, right? It was a solid
yeah.
game back and forth. And then a certain Shea Gilgeous-Alexander doing what he does, where he keeps coming out and outscoring other teams in certain quarters. That third quarter for the Canadian team was amazing. They came out, they stomped on that team's necks.
Bro.
They said, "Nah, this is our game." And because of that, they're in the semifinals, baby. It is a beautiful time to be a Canadian basketball fan.
Man, I 100% agree. And to just bring it back to Shea for a quick second, like I've been throwing out trades for this man for 3 years now on this
Yeah.
podcast. And I remember when I was talking about trading Siakam straight up for him. And I feel like, anybody who would have listened would have been like, man, you're an absolute nut job. Like Pascal Siakam for Shea.
Here we are.
Nah, man, I just know the game of basketball, and I believe in my Canadian brethren. So yeah, I love seeing Shea. His cousins on the bench, watching him just absolutely dominate. RJ grittying, having a good time.
Yeah,
You know, his dad was the last guy to lead us to the Olympics,
that's
so
true.
it's
That's true.
only fitting that RJ's
And
back on it, baby.
RJ was great in that game against Slovenia. I want to say a plus
Good.
18 on the day, the second highest plus minus on our team, only behind the plus minus god Kelly Olynyk himself at a plus 21. Like, I just want them to win for Kelly. Like, that guy bleeds red and white right now. It's amazing.
Oh man, but he's like that in the NBA too. Like he doesn't put up those gaudy stats, but he's like an under the radar, very serviceable center. Like
Yep.
maybe not top 20, but like fringe, right? Like he's there, and he's like better to have on your team in a pinch than a guy like Mason Plumlee or
Plum
Cody
God.
Zeller, or
True.
like I'd take Kelly Olynyk any day. And that man took a full year off to work on his game, and
True.
it got him to the NBA, and it's gotten him to where he is. And it's just, it's a great Canadian story. Gonzaga basketball, man, they're the feeder school for Canada.
So true. And so the only other thing that I have is, I got to shout out Lithuania and our boy X Raptor JV for taking down Team USA, slapping them around, getting that W against the, you know what, that team's really good. Team USA is really good, but they had a little bit of arrogance. And just like the Canadian squad, that
Yeah,
might be the knockdown they need. I mean, I'm over here really hoping for that USA Canada final, just, for the number of players that I'm a fan of on both squads. But at the end of the day, tough matches, right? They got to go through Germany. We got to go through a
Jokic list.
Jokic-less Serbia. So that's at least a nice thing for us. But at the same time, it's going to be tough
Surprised they
semifinals.
made it this far without Jokic, man.
They're a tough
Tough,
squad, Matt.
tough nation.
They're a tough
Yeah.
squad. They play good, tough, hard basketball. And I know that was an issue with the Canadian and Slovenia game. I know Luka was pissed about. A lot of their players are pissed about like the heavy, battling that's happening. And I'm like, Canadian boys are just pushing back, and we love to see it. Honestly, we
Yeah.
love to see
And
it.
and honestly, like, the way Dylan Brooks' season ended last year with the Memphis Grizzlies, for him to be showing out like he
Man,
is, like it underscores like why he actually is important in the NBA. Why like, every all the national media is clowning him for going after LeBron, being like,
yeah,
you're not even a top, 100 player. Like, what are you doing? He's definitely a top 100 player in the NBA just based on his defensive loan. He
yeah.
is one of the, I don't know, 20 best perimeter defenders in the NBA.
Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa,
So,
whoa. According to him, he's the best perimeter defender in the world. Okay, he's riding that high a lot. Dylan Brooks got to settle down a little bit, but
buddy,
he
buddy,
top 20
buddy, I'll
is
give him
is
top 20.
top 20
I'll
is
give him top
reasonable.
20.
Absolutely, that's for sure. Yeah, recent interview. I'm the best perimeter defender in this tournament in the NBA in the world, and I'm like, okay, bud, calm down a little
Buddy,
bit.
Lou Dort's on your team, eh?
You're not even the best. You're not even the best defender on your team. Anyways, it's been a lot of fun watching this FIBA tournament. We're excited to see how it's going to end out. But there's actually a lot of other Raptor stuff. You'd think that nothing happens in the off season, but there's been a lot of little movements here or there. I want to talk with the Lakers, Matt, because LeBron's going into his sixth season. Sixth season with this squad. Second longest stint that he's going to have with any team currently. They just signed Christian Wood for 2 years, $6 million. AD gets that absolutely ridiculous $186 million extension. They're putting the Kobe statue out front of the crypt. Like, the Lakers seem to want to make things happen, but is it going to be enough? Can Austin Reeves be that third star for them, man?
No, man. Like he's good, but again, it's
Yeah.
FIBA and he's on Team USA, like you get a little bit extra leeway when, every single one of your teammates is, a top 15 player in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like every single one of those guys that starts for them is a top 15 player. I dare you to find me 15 players better than them. And so like, yeah, you get that leeway, you get that extra space, you get the opportunity to make a little bit more action happen. You're playing against non-NBA players.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, oh, he's definitely so good. He's, what a steal. And bro, when he signed that contract, I said it was a steal. Like I said that was like he did the Lakers a huge favor by
Yeah.
doing that. I thought like he got severely underpaid, but like man, he signed it and he's there. It gives them a lot of flexibility and options. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's like, maybe the fourth best player on a championship caliber team, maybe. And right now he's the three. And I understand that, LeBron and AD make up for a lot of it,
True.
but clearly it wasn't good enough to get past the Nuggets because, like, lest we forget, the Nuggets swept them.
Yeah.
I understand it was close, but it was still a sweep. And
Yeah.
so I don't know about you. There are no close sweeps to me,
Yeah.
you
And
know? Like, not.
The Christian Wood signing I think is a good signing, but like is this Christian Wood's last chance? At this point he keeps
Yeah.
bouncing around, the Mavs obviously apparently did him dirty, that's what he's saying. So I don't know the whole story with the Mavericks in that situation, but a
Bro, the
big
Mavs
to
are
come
fine
in
with that.
and play for them. Yeah, they did.
Like,
So,
why would they not want him to work out? They paid him. They have no assets. Like, they needed him to
yeah,
work out, really.
it's not smart.
Like,
It's not smart. Poor
yeah,
Luca. Poor Luca. But okay, let's move off the Lakers. We could talk about Dame, but I don't think Dame's getting moved at this point. I think
no.
the funnier conversation is to talk about James Harden actually blowing up the 76ers squad. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will not play like man, it is kind of crazy what Nick Nurse has signed himself up for at this point.
Oh, buddy, like he thinks he had it tough in Toronto. He's gonna and like at least like the Toronto media was owned by the team, so they only gave him softball questions. This Philadelphia media is gonna kill him. Oh man. Quick question though. Who would you rather have? Ben Simmons or James Harden?
Don't ask me that question. You're
Who
talking
would
about
you rather
in
have?
their current states. We're not talking prime. We're
Current
talking current
states
states.
today. Today.
Probably Ben Simmons, unfortunately, because at least he might
Right?
play some basketball and want to be there.
And
Like,
like at least he's like young
yeah, at least
and
he's
not broken down. Like
man.
got me a chunky James eating wings, James Harden, who's saying Daryl Morey is a liar and I will never play for him again. Yo, you're gonna breach your NBA contract and you're gonna do it publicly. Like, man, have some like honestly, and this is why like I'm not a James Harden fan because even his scoring numbers, like I understand that like, he was one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. No, he was one of the greatest con men in NBA history, and he still is. He's
Yeah,
conned his way out of Houston, out of Brooklyn, and now he's trying to do it out of Philadelphia. And this man,
it's
like
it's crazy to
sad.
think, Matt, that a year from now, let's say he does play, he does finish out his contract. A year from now, after all of this, who's gonna offer James Harden a contract? And not only that, who's gonna offer James Harden a contract that he wants after all of this? Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason his agent said, "Don't say this. This is a bad idea. Don't say Daryl Morey's a liar." Like, I don't know. It's a hilarious situation that we're just gonna keep following at this point. But his best option is probably just to show up and play hard for Philadelphia. Honestly,
No, that's his only option. Like
true, true.
what are you gonna do? Like
Yeah,
they're not gonna trade you. They'll let you sit the whole season. They proved it with Ben Simmons. They're willing to wait.
yeah.
And so, like to me, like he's just gonna cost himself a ton of money if he doesn't do that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like for me, just doesn't sound like a player that I'd want on my team
No,
ever.
no.
And I never wanted James Harden, and I still don't. Like that guy, worst superstar for me in NBA history since I've
Yeah.
been watching.
Yeah, we want
Man,
Giannis. We're talking about Giannis over here. Man had
bruh.
off-season knee surgery, so that's why he's not playing at FIBA. He's coming out talking about how he's only signing an extension if everybody's on the same page. Now, there's the one hand of me that goes, okay, he's keeping his organization, he's making sure that they're not falling
In
asleep
line.
at the wheel. He makes sure that they're actually doing work. But the other hand is, hey Giannis, hello, we're the Toronto Raptors. We want you, please, please, please,
Everybody talking
please.
about the Knicks and the Lakers getting in there. No, 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 no,
No, no, no.
guys. Everyone's like, and the way that they talk about it too, they're like, oh, well, like the Lakers paid one of his brothers, the Knicks try to give Thanasis a lot of money, and then it's like, you guys realize that we also paid one of their brothers, and you guys
Yep.
also realize that Masai has ties. You know, we going after him hard, and so man, and especially like that team, they're old. Like, and if Chris Middleton can't bounce back, Drew Holiday's a year older, Brooke Lopez is a year older, Bobby Portis is a year older.
Yeah.
Like they don't got much around him. Like I think that championship, when we look back on it, might be, you know, a kind of a weird one, right? Like everybody talks about the Raptors being a flawed championship. I think that one was a flawed championship. You have the Lakers who go basically the season, wire to wire as the number one team in the NBA, and then they, lose AD, lose to the Suns. The Suns
Yep.
go on this run, like, and then they get Giannis, and Giannis beats them. But to me, man, like, who knows?
It's
Who knows?
it's a wild situation for the Bucks. People are talking about how like, this is the Kareem title, right? This is the situation that might be happening right now for Giannis, and
Just thinking it.
this is like anything is possible with this, and he has some fun comments, right? And we don't know if he's just playing to the media because Giannis does what he does. If anyone follows Giannis on social media, you know how ridiculous this guy is and how funny he is. We all remember the Bell situation. Like Giannis does what he does. Okay, he's a fun guy, but if this is real and he's
It
actually
sounded serious.
potentially going to be moving out, but this is it, right? If it is real, Raptors, we're in a decent situation with no real money on the books and an opportunity to say, hey, Scotty Barnes, you insert however many players you want, we can make it work. So we're
Yo,
we're gonna
and
keep our eyes on Giannis for sure.
if people want to compare Giannis to Kareem, they've been comparing Scotty to Magic, and so we can just run it back. But the Showtime Raptors, baby,
Amen.
Showtime
Oh,
Raps.
hey man, I would be in for it. I would love to see it, and we'll see. I want to bring up Lonzo really quickly because the reaction video to Stephen A. Smith of Lonzo just one-legged getting up and down like, okay, Lonzo, we know you're not injured, but like, please calm down, don't re-hurt yourself. That was way too many, way too aggressive in your response video. But like, I'm glad that he came out and like had a bit of a comment because you know how the media is these days.
Man, Stephen A. Don't even get me started on that, man. All right. You want to talk about the Hall of Fame inductions? Because they were some good ones, man. They were some good ones.
It's definitely worth bringing up because there's some great names. Obviously, D Wade getting his time. Popovich. I mean, we could wait 10 more years. He's still going to keep coaching with Wemby at this point. But
Yeah, he is.
to see a group of people get to be recognized like this, especially with Tony Parker and Pop and them to kind of all slowly kind of round it out. It's really nice. And of course Becky Hammon, getting her shouts, getting to be a part of the situation. So like another year
Oh
of
my
great
boy,
Hall of Fame
pal.
people. And yes, of course, the boy
Buddy, but
Powell.
shut up, pal.
You gotta.
The way that he even came out and was talking about how without Kobe he wouldn't be there. Gotta respect that man. And it's crazy to think that he got traded for his brother and won championships. Like,
Yeah.
just awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Glad
The
that we
reason
could
he's in the
be
Hall of Fame.
glad that we could be a part of that Gasol championship, so that we could say it's championships, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the story
The
right there.
team.
So yeah, that's Hall of Fame.
Oh
Again,
man.
another year. We're still waiting for the LeBron James Hall of Fame speech, which will come one day, one day. But last thing, Matt, last thing to talk about, I think we got this week is this in-season tournament. Ab Silver has actually made it happen. It's going through. I was looking over the way they're gonna do it. I don't hate it. It's not really going to affect too much. You get to have this little fun for certain teams that might care about it. And yeah, cool, an NBA Cup. We get to hand out a new cup to a champion. But is it just another classic money grab of let's have a big spectacle for everyone to watch? Because that's kind of what it seems like.
Honestly, man, like it is a money grab, and like the only way that it would get them to care if like they get relegated. Like I honestly think that like having like a G League squad of like all-star G League players and they have to play like this would be cool. Like you make two all-star G League squads
Yeah.
and they play the two worst teams in the NBA and like the winners the winners don't have to play anymore. Like and then the losers of the two rounds, unless they're both the G League team,
Yeah. Yeah.
or get relegated to the G League. But it would give like the potential opportunity for like the Spurs this year to get relegated, and they don't even get Wemby.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
dang man,
I mean, relegation such a foreign topic to North Americans, but there's a reason why so many successful sports leagues in the world have relegation to light a fire under the butts of certain management members who are totally fine with cashing their checks and making their money and having no repercussions for being bad.
the process,
So
man. Jeez,
yeah,
like
if Philadelphia ends up having to trade Joel Embiid without winning anything, and suddenly the process is an absolute failure. As a Toronto Raptors fan, I'm over here having the time of my life and cackling.
but like
But
but just
how can you as a fan base support your team anymore after that? For what you had to go through, the
bruh,
garbage years, like
they were like literally like trying to dismantle their rosters to the point where they can get the number one overall pick, and like they wasted them. Like, could you imagine if you had Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum on the same team? Buddy, instead of Markel Fultz, like, geez. And they would have had Ben Simmons too. Like, and like Ben Simmons maybe doesn't ever break down because he doesn't have to be a shooter. He's just a facilitator,
seriously. If Ben
you
Simmons could have
know?
been Draymond Green, like you would have had
Like just
a
a way better Draymond
way better
Green.
Draymond Green. So I mean, we've talked about it enough times at this point. We don't need to get into that enough. Matt, is there anything else you want to bring up
Jeez.
this week? You want to rip on any more players?
No, man. I kind of want to rip on your prediction though, so go ahead.
Okay, well, has the game started yet? Do you know the score? Should I be worried? So
I can pull it out.
Matt's gonna check the score while I potentially embarrass myself. So I think that Detroit is ready for prime time. I think they're gonna squeak out a win versus the Chiefs tonight. There's no Travis Kelsey, so the Chiefs are gonna have to rely on Matt's other fantasy player. You know how much I love football. I know his name, totally know his name.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Kadarius
There it
Toney.
is.
Oh,
Legendary
okay.
right there. But yeah, I have faith in this Detroit Lions team. Plus, I think it would just be fun. It'd be fun to start the season where the Chiefs lose and then have to fight their way back. Because they would, and it wouldn't be a question.
But buddy, 20-0, like that's way more fun. Way, way, way more fun. Right now, not gonna lie, you got it. It's 7-0. It's 7-0 Detroit.
Hey!
Boy, Amon-Ra St. Brown scored the touchdown, so my fantasy team already got touchdown. Let's
There
go.
we
First
go. There we
touchdown of the
go.
season for you boy. Should have bet on it. That's why I drafted him a little bit high. I kind of reached on Amon-Ra to take him.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna take DK Metcalf. I like DK Metcalf. I don't love Geno Smith. I trust Jared Goff more than I trust Geno Smith.
There you go.
Uh,
All right, what you got for me, my
but
friend?
buddy, we got to stay in the NFL. I'm taking a weird one. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers and that defense to show up,
Ooh,
attack Brock Purdy, make his life absolutely miserable. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking out San Francisco in week one. Yeah,
there we go.
just the way
There
it's
we
going to be.
go. Well, we'll keep talking football until the basketball season gets up. We got to keep Matt entertained when he's just waiting for hockey, when he's just waiting for
Yeah,
basketball. It's like literally the only thing he cares about right now, outside of obviously his family, because we know Matt loves his family. He's caring about football.
absolutely.
It's the sports season, baby.
Absolutely. Let's go. All
Perfect.
right,
All right.
buddy.
Well, thanks everybody for being here. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Board Sports. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and check out theboardsports.net for new episodes and blog posts.
And we'll talk to you next time. Buddy.